Hello and welcome. I am Scrubberlock, and this is City of Heroes. We are with a level 13 Dominator, Mister Eclipse, who is about 1400 XP away from level 14, so we should get there in this episode. And we are on the story arc Chain of Command. I did not post the video I recorded for the last couple of missions. I feel like the rant or whatever, it wasn't really a rant, but the discussion I went on was very rambling and kind of pointless, and so I don't think it's worth watching. Um, so we're going to talk to Jones and do whatever he asks, even if his orders are to kill him. He's simply testing my loyalty. So we go to see Richard Jones, and right, we're a loyalist, so we're going to have our loyalty tested, I guess. So I hope you guys are enjoying. I've now posted a few of these videos, and so we have to raid a chemical lab. I have the feeling I'm being set up. I have the feeling I am being set up, and I'm going to end up being in trouble. Kind of like how Countess Cray sets you up, and then you're in trouble for like stealing from Cray and that sort of stuff. And she gets you in trouble with the law. So, let's see. Is there anything up here? There usually isn't. No. I'm just going to go this way. And hopefully we will get to level 14, and then I will figure out just exactly what I'm going to get. I don't know if I'm going to get stealth or if I'm going to get something else. We'll just have to see. I really haven't made any decisions yet. One of the attractive things about stealth is that stealth doesn't need any slots, right? And I think we're going to have the problem of being very slot poor for a long time with this character if we keep taking attack and mez powers, because they're all going to need heavy slotting, right? So it's very helpful as you're going through a build to get some powers that don't need a lot of slots. So for example, quickness in super reflexes doesn't need a lot of slots. Build up, I generally only put 3 slots on it and triple recharge them. I usually don't put the 2 hit debuff slots on. Eliminate everyone in the lab. Okay. Well, we can do that. So you need, I feel like you need at least 3 or 4 powers in a set, in a character that don't require too many slots, or else you get into the problem I had with Liberty Lass, where every one of her powers kind of needed 6 slots, and you don't have that many slots. They don't give you enough to do that. So, so if I can get a couple of slots, a couple of powers that don't need heavy slotting, I think that will help for this character, and stealth does not need heavy slotting. Now, somebody said in their Dominator builds that they usually take defensive pool powers. So this would be things like tough and weave. I don't know if you have to take boxing or kicking from the fighting pool before you can take tough and weave anymore. You used to have to, but they may have changed that. I don't really know. And it never occurred to me to take stuff from like the fighting pool, etc., for a Dominator. Right? Because Dominators already have their own fighting powers, their own combat powers. Right? Now, obviously, having more defense always helps people, right? But, you know, now you got to slot those, right? They're toggles and they're very endurance heavy, so you're going to have to slot at least for single endurance, triple defense, right? Or triple resistance. And so there's 4 slots. And my guess is if they're like the other toggles in the pools, again, I've never used them, you might have to do double endurance reducers. And you probably want to put sets on them. And so you're going to need at least 4, possibly 5 and 6 slots to make them as effective as you need them to be. That is a very slot expensive kind of thing to do when I could instead have something like stealth that doesn't take any slots up, right? I don't need slotting on it, right? So that I can focus on my other powers. I've been thinking a lot about the fear power, terror, whatever it is, which is another single target hold, and I'm not entirely sure I want that right now, because that's another one I'm probably going to have to slot pretty heavily in order for it to be effective. And we're already confusing and holding people pretty well. And what I think I need more, in addition to those two abilities, is AoEs, not more single target holds. So I'm bumping that fear power down my priority list for sure. And we'll see if I take it when, you know. I suspect I will take it at some point, but I'm not sure when. I like catching them in the AoE damage. Okay, and now this immobilized person gets held and dominated. And now domination's over, but that's okay, because we have finished off everybody in this room. There we go. So yeah, I think that Fearsome Stare is probably going to get bumped till later in the build if I take it at all. I know with Scrabbers and Brutes, it can often help to skip one of the offensive powers that, one of the attack powers. It was so helpful to Silver Phoenix's build not to take Crippling Axe Kick, which I mostly took because of Legacy, right? Because in the past it was a crappy attack. They made it better, but I still hated the animation, and I was so used to doing martial arts super reflexes without it, and I knew you could get a full attack chain, easily get a full attack chain without it. In fact, without that and without Eagle's Claw, you still have a full attack chain. And so, yeah, I mean, once you get your enhancement sets and stuff in, you have a full attack chain with like 3 powers. So a closed attack chain, right, where you can attack continuously. So I don't. My experience with Silver Phoenix was that because I didn't take that power, I had enough slots to do everything I wanted to do in both the defensive and the offensive abilities. And my experience with characters where I felt like I had to take every single attack and defense power and slot them all was much harder to get them slotted because they don't give you enough slots. I really wish that that when you got to level 49, you had the option to either pick a new power or just pick 3 slots, because that would really make me happy. It would allow me to slot more stuff. Now I know what they're trying to do is make you have to make a strategic choice about what you're going to slot, right? And if they give you those extra slots and one fewer power, right, then you're not having to make the choice, right? You're just slotting everything. If you could just slot everything for 6 slots, why not? Why have slots at all? Why not just have every power come in at 6 slots, right? If you think about it. So that's a point, and I understand that part of the goal of the design of the game is supposed to be to get you to make those choices with your character build so that all characters don't all have every power 6 slotted. But there are a lot of powers that I really want fully 6 slotted. And I've often said, with exceptions of special powers like Stealth, which work just fine with a single slot, or Quickness, which works fine as a single slot to passive, or things like passive defenses that you can only put 3 slots worth in because anything more than that's a waste, right? Or health and stamina, right? With the exception of powers like that, the overwhelming majority of powers, especially offensive powers, control powers, etc., to me, if they're worth taking, they're worth slotting heavily, right? Maybe not 6 slot, right? It depends. Some powers Might be okay with 4 or 5, but to me, if it's worth taking, it's worth slotting. Thank you for that sword cut. That really hurt. The sword adept. So we'll switch who's being held and who is being hypnotized, and then I missed, of course. But we definitely want to keep the sword adepts at bay. And we are able to dominate again. I may try to hold that for the boss, assuming there is one. Oh, we've leveled up, so we definitely don't need domination right now. Yeah, somebody, I don't know if it was the same person, was saying that, you know, the problem with dominators is when you get to the elite bosses, that if you don't have a bunch of defensive pool powers, and maybe even if you do, probably even if you do, the bosses, you gotta save the domination because you need it for the bosses. Right, that without that, not the bosses, but the elite bosses, the EBs. Right, the elite bosses are brutally hard without domination because they just have too much resistance to your abilities and they recover too quickly from them. And so you get either you get either no hold or like a 1.5 second hold on them unless you've got domination going. Then maybe you get 3 seconds out of it. And if your powers are recharging fast enough, you can hold him a few seconds. You know, he's in it for 3 seconds, and then he's held for 3 seconds, active for 1. Then you hold him again. You know, and so it can, I guess, help to. It definitely helps to have that domination because you're holding them longer, and you can stack it, right? Whereas without the extra duration, it's harder to stack. Now, obviously, how you slot determines a lot of this too, right? If you have hold duration, that matters, right? Because the domination stacks with the hold duration, right? If it makes it 1.5 times or whatever. Oh, is that the boss? That is, well, domination, buddy. Here we go, as we talked. There's our domination. We've got him held. We're just going to keep holding him. Right, the domination should be enough on a regular boss for sure to keep him perma-held. On an elite boss, not necessarily so much. Right, it might not be permanent, even with chaining. But she's going to stay controlled for a while because the possess lasts longer than the other holds. And the domination will keep him locked in a chain hold unless I miss. And then we can finish her off. There we go. So yeah, as I said, the only Dominator I played to high level, 45 or whatever, 47. The only Dominator I played to a level like that was a Plant Thorn Dominator. And the Plant Thorn has this huge advantage over maybe all the other Dominators. I don't know if other ones do. Let me know who has it. But Plant Thorn has an AoE cone confuse. And so you can confuse an entire spawn of 3, right? So the one person was saying, you know, like, you have to work so hard to hold the elite boss, and then the adds, the extra guys, will just flatten you. But I didn't have to worry about that with Plant Thorn Dominator, right? Because what I would do with a Plant Thorn Dominator is I would teleport in Seeds of Confusion, everybody in the cone, right? And then I would hold the boss, and they would all just shoot each other and shoot the boss, right? So they never shot me, and I could, and if you're under domination, I could easily refresh the AoE Seeds of Confusion before it ran out. Because that's one that, you know, again, I slotted it for, I don't know if I slotted it for range. I slotted it for accuracy for sure, to make sure it hit everybody. So I like double accuracy. And I think it was, I might be wrong about this, but I think I may be correct that it may have been one of these powers that defaults to like 1.15 or 1.25 accuracy to begin with. So I had it almost at like 2.0, right? It was very high accuracy. And then I had it on like a really long sleep duration. And that, not sleep, confused duration. She also could make you sleep too, I think. And I think that was an AoE as well. Right, so one of the nice things about Plant Thorn is they had an AoE sleep and an AoE confuse. Now the AoE sleep I found not that useful because if you do any damage, it wakes them up. Right, so then you can't throw any of your other AoEs or they'll just wake up. But that can have, that can be helpful, but it was really those Seeds of Confusion that made that character so awesome. Right? So if you had a boss surrounded by multiple enemies, multiple allies of the boss, or multiple of your enemies, I could confuse them all. And they would all turn and attack each other and attack the boss and so on. And then I could just hold the boss. Right? And I was able to do pretty well with that. But this guy only has a single target confuse, so it won't be able to do the same kind of tactic. Right, and we can go ahead and use Dominate here since we've already beaten the boss. But yeah, it never really occurred to me to try and take a defensive power. Especially because I'm used to having to lead into Tough and Weave with boxing, right, or whatever the kick power is. Maybe just kick or kicking or whatever. But yeah, it was the common thing was you took boxing, then tough, then weave, and that's a lot of powers. And that's 3 powers I'm not gonna be able to take from somewhere else, And back in the day, you also couldn't, you had to spend 3 powers to get Swift Health Stamina or Hurdle Health Stamina, but everybody I knew always took Swift. Because you may or may not need to jump, but you always need to run. Unless you're going to be flying all the time or something. So let's get our level 14 power. Still not sure what I'm going to get. We'll just see what it offers. Because if it gives me pets, I might go for them. Because they can really help. So let's train up to the next level. So we don't have pets yet. This is an AoE hold. We can get Smite instead. This is a radius on myself, so just surrounding me. I think I'm actually going to get stealth here. Where is it? Concealment. And what's infiltration? What does this do? Oh, so this is stealth plus increased speed? This is plus 3600 stealth status. What does stealth give me? Plus 5500. So stealth is a little bit better. I'm going to take stealth. I don't know. Infiltration looks pretty cool. And you can do phase shift and go intangible also. I feel like these might be really good abilities. What's the endurance? 0.46 a second. Let's start with stealth, but I think I'm going to actually build into this pool. Because I feel like these are powers that I'm not going to need. I'm not going to need to slot. And that will give me slots for these other powers. Let's go ahead and sell to the vendor. And then we'll go see our contact. Let me pause it here and I'll bring you back when we're at the contact. Alright, we are back. And we talked to Richard Jones. Superb work. Anderson was eliminated. Masimoto's forces are crippled. And now we talk to Chance McKnight. Okay, and he says, Jones called me to let me know that his first impression of you was good. Buzz in the Syndicate ranks say that Masimoto was delivered a crippling blow. I assume that was what Jones had you doing. I have a feeling I'm going to get tapped by Jones to lead a direct attack on Masimoto himself, and you're likely to get called in as well. And so he says, for part 3, it's raining lead. Jones has told me to get the remnants of Tatsuri's men ready. We're going to attack Matsumoto now. Okay. Got a temporary power, which is what? Chain gun. Okay. Well, I'll put that over there for now. So we can shoot him, but we probably won't need to do that. The main problem I always have with temporary powers is they often have very high endurance costs. And we're already having endurance issues. But it's there if we need it. Now, I don't know how well stealth may work in here. Probably not at all, because this guy has to follow me. Right? So, yeah, it figures when as soon as I get stealth, the game gives me a mission with a buddy that I have to deal with. Are you going to aggro to them? I mean, are you just going to be worthless? I guess he's just going to be worthless, so there he goes. Of course I missed my target. I hit the other guys, but not my target. Ambush! Up. What do I keep getting knocked down with? Yeah, this guy cannot handle over aggro. Me, not our buddy who's, I don't know how he's doing. But our character cannot at this point handle over aggroing. He just can't do damage fast enough. How's he doing? Yeah, he's got full HP. Okay. Alright, well, we're going to need to rest there. That was pretty brutal. More ambushing. It really is quite the trope in this side of the game, right? Nearly every mission has some kind of a really nasty ambush in it that hits you while you're in the middle of another spawn and just starts pounding you. Now the PBA-OE hold would have been very helpful there, but I think in terms of just general utility, the stealth will be better for us, and I really don't have the slots to slot up the PBA-OE hold right now anyway, right, as I was saying before. So sometimes when I'm making these decisions, I'm looking at, like, do I have the slots to even make this power worth taking right now? Because if it's just going to be single slotted for 8 levels, I may as well wait and get it 8 levels from now when I can slot it. Right? I love Domination. It's so cool. Alright, they're both pretty well held now. How did this one not get caught in the radius of that? Alright, that takes them down. Yeah, but there are an awful lot of ambushes. And the ambushes where you're fighting a boss and then another ambush comes in, and sometimes like a freaking boss comes in to ambush you, that can be pretty brutal. Alright, so these guys, are they going to join my team too? Doesn't look like it. They're just cheering me on. Same thing here. So there's obviously a gang war going on. Anyway, keep the I will say keep the comments about Dominators coming. I have nowhere near as much experience, with them as I have with Scrappers and Brutes and such. And so, yeah, like I said, it never would even occurred to me to have thought about defense powers. And so I'm not necessarily going to take defense powers, but go ahead and make the comments, because I'm not used to playing these types of characters, so there's lots of stuff that I probably never considered that I ought to, right? And yeah, I'm always happy to get advice, and you can get off me. So we just need Masimoto. It doesn't look like we have to fight any glowies or anything. These guys are not hostile, but these guys are. Okay. Good job aggroing before I was ready, bonehead. Oh, ambush. Yep, here we go again. Right? Alright, let's get domination up. I gotta run away and kite these guys. And if they kill my partner, they kill him. I'm not worried about that, really. The domination, at least, gives me some extra time with these guys. I didn't really want to pop it against them because I was hoping to, I don't know what he just did, use it against the boss, but it was that or die at that point. I gotta take sprint off, it's gonna kill my endurance. Trying to keep them out of melee with me, because these are sword adepts, so they're stronger with melee than they are with range. Yeah, man, I don't know how, like, blasters could solo their way through these early levels here with all these ambushes. Especially ambush while you're fighting another lieutenant or a boss or something. And I don't know, did they warn? I don't feel like they actually warn potential new players that this side of the game is coded to be harder than the rest of the game. Right? So there doesn't seem to be any warning about that, which I would think it would be good practice to do, just so that you don't blindside people. Like, I knew it was going to be hard, and I expected to faceplant. A, because I'm playing a Dominator, right? And I know they're more fragile than like a Brute or a Scrapper. But also B, because I had, not on the Loyalist side, but on the Resistance side, I had played all the way through with, oh gosh. I had played all the way through with my Stalker. Twice I missed this guy. At least I hit the Pyrokineticist with the Mind Control. So that kind of leaves him alone. Now my guy's not going to attack him because he's no longer technically hostile to him, I guess. Oh, maybe he is going to attack him. Let's try the chain gun. There you go. Shoot him with the gun a little bit. We don't need to keep doing that, though. Man, this is a huge map. What's the rule? Always when I say, okay, one more mission, COH gives me a mega map. It's like it can hear me. Or read my mind when I think it. Do some AoE damage. Let's shoot the gun at him. Our guy is very slow attack rate. Seems like he only has 1 or 2 attack powers. And they take forever to recharge. Oh man. We got him? Okay, good. I thought I missed him. One thing I need to do too, and this is why you need all the slots, is I need to up the damage on that AoE immobilize. Right? Because it does a little bit of damage now, but if you like doubled it, it would do pretty decent damage over time. It's so weird to think that these are the regular office maps, and all they've done is reskin them. And looks really cool. Here we have Domination back up. I'm going to try to hold it for the boss. Because if these guys are oranges, the boss is going to be red. Right. We do not need... Hopefully we don't need Awaken. Yeah, alright. So that was just an empty corridor with just spawns in it. Lots of Lieutenant minion pairs now all of a sudden. Trying to mind control him again. Got him that time. He's going to do massive damage to the minion now because he's a lieutenant. And lieutenants are okay. Like, you can usually get them with the mez. It's the bosses, and especially the elite bosses, that are very hard. That is such a cool looking power. Alright, let's keep going. Hopefully our guy doesn't aggro the guys upstairs. Yeah, that's a decent AoE. Right? It's doing 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, like, I don't know, 5 or 6 ticks of 3. 5 or 6 ticks of 6 at this level would be quite nice. That's the amount of damage it would do if it had been SO, double SO, or triple SO. Wow, I thought this was going to be a small area here, but it's not. Every single one of these guys is a sword adept. I'm surprised they don't have different designations, you know. In the other parts of the game they do. Double miss. Right, other parts of the game you have like chopper and cutter and gravedigger and stuff like that, and crusher, chopper, and so forth. And yeah, here it's just all sword adept. Oh, this pistol adept, okay. First one I've noticed, and maybe there have been more of them, but I haven't noticed them. What are you guys doing anyway? Like, why don't you join me? Join us or die. I am a Sith. Okay, so there's an upstairs section here, right? Yeah, but these guys all seem to be sword adepts, right? No, there's a pistol adept. I guess I just haven't been watching carefully enough, or just noticing the sword ones because they're the ones who come up and attack me in person, right? Like up in hand to hand, and that's the most dangerous to me. Yeah, I would say so far our buddy has been only marginally helpful. He's drawn very little aggro. And he doesn't do all that much damage because he doesn't attack that fast. Wow, look at the size of this map. This is just flat out huge. And there could be up to 3 more levels like this. Come on. Missed, of course. Missed, of course. That definitely, there's definitely like, what do you call it, XCOM statistics or XCOM probability factor that seems to come into play when you're fighting the yellow cons, right? Like, the only way I could lose this fight is if my hold doesn't land. Miss. Crap. Well, maybe it'll land next time. Miss. Faceplant. XCOM luck. Yeah, I was watching Ultimate Admiral Dreadnought's Let's Play by Brother Monroe, and I can't remember how exactly he said it. I think he was in a battle. I think what happened is he was in a battle, and he fired his ships fired torpedoes, and they were both duds. And then the AI fired torpedoes, and the one torpedo it fired hit his ship and sank it or something like that. And he's like, "Yep, that's the kind of random number generator luck that the computer always has." But it was super funny. I can't remember how he said it. I actually posted a reply and said that was like the best comment he made of the episode. One of the reasons I wish I could, honestly, I wish I could be more like him as uh, a narrator. It's one of the reasons I really like watching his channel, because like not all the battles against the enemy ships are all that exciting, because a lot of times the computer doesn't do a great job of designing the ships, and he does a very good job of designing the ships because he really knows what he's doing, and so usually if there's any sort of parity in the technology levels of the two countries, his ships are just going to mop the ocean with the other ships, and so it's not necessarily super exciting to watch the battle itself, but I love watching it because he just makes these great comments that are just absolutely hilarious and just fun to listen to. And I don't know, I'm just not as witty. And he has this very dry sense of humor that I very much appreciate, but not can't necessarily replicate myself. He actually reminds me a lot. I guess the reason I said even that it was a dry sense of humor, he reminds me of a lot of a friend of my dad's. His name was Rich, and he died some years ago. I don't know, maybe like 10 years ago. But my mom always used to say that she loved when he and his wife would come over, because Rich had this really dry sense of humor, and there was this other friend of ours, of my father's, named Ralph, whose wife Regina was also very funny. And my mom always used to say, boy, when the two of them got together, it was your sides were gonna hurt, and it was definitely true. All right, so let's see if we can hold Boss Man, and then confuse this person, and then keep the hold up on Boss Man. And I guess I gotta run up a little closer to get our buddy to start helping us. Keep the confuse working on that guy. Boss Man. There you go. And let's do an AoE. And let's do another AoE. And let's put a hold on Boss Man. Domination for the win, guys. Boss hasn't been able to do anything. If you can get domination on a boss and you can start the lockdown pattern and keep it going, the boss just can't do anything to you. It's awesome. Look at that. He did nothing all battle. Can I stop missing, please? There we go. And that's the mission. Wow, I'm surprised the mission completed without taking out all his minions. So that'll be it for today, I think. I'll talk to our contact, and that'll be the end of it. It's not the end of the story arc, so we have probably one more to go. You know what? I'm not going to talk to Jones. We'll head up over to him, but I'm not going to talk to him. And the reason I'm not going to talk to him is because I'm afraid it's going to start a timed mission, and I don't want to start a timed mission. I'm getting ready to make dinner, so we'll just head down, and we'll hang out with Mr. Jones here, and we'll pick this up in the next episode. Until next time, guys, I am Scrapperlock, and this has been City of Heroes with our Dominator.